Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome back once again to JJ's PC Build. You know what it is? JJ with you once again. Today we're going to do something a little bit different than what we always do, but we're going to do this anyway. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to test out Descendant. Okay, the First Descendant game. I know I've been doing this last couple days. I did a live feed on it, but what I'm doing today is I'm testing it with using dynamic screen resolution, okay, DSR. A lot of people don't like using it. They just think, oh, you just need to go out and buy a bigger monitor and, a better monitor that's got 1440p or 4K. I understand your point that a 1080p monitor is never going to fit the bill of a 1440p or 4K. It's not going to have the IPS, it's not going to have the HDR, it's not going to have a lot of things. But make sure you do have your drink and snacks, by the way. But you have to understand, if you got all these things, then this is not really going to be the video for you. This is going to be for the video that people that cannot afford anything else but using their regular TV screen. Okay? At 1080p. Some people just plug their computers into the regular TV and they take no notice of the screen resolutions. I understand it's good to say to everybody, hey, go buy a better monitor. If you want sharper and more advanced pictures, then go do it that way. But the challenge is to take the monitor you have and make it better. Okay, and if I can make it better on the monitors that I have, then what's the sense of going and buying a new monitor? Think about it. I'm saving myself, as a DIYer, money, so that way I can put it to other things, like a better processor, or, more RAM, or, a better SSD M.2 drive, or better cooling solutions, or stuff like that. I understand the monitor is your first big thing that you need to sort out before you decide to build your system. A lot of people are now saying that, it's best that you get a monitor that's going to fit the bill of your system. Look, there's always what they call later down the road. If you got a regular TV and you can build a hardcore system and then later on down the road get a new monitor if that's what you choose. Okay, but in my choice, in my experience, I take you guys along with what I got cooking. So this is not misinformation. What I do on my system is what I do on my system. Okay, whatever you do on your system, that's your choice. But this is my choice. And if you don't want to watch the video, that's up to you. You don't have to watch the video. You can go and watch somebody else's video. But what I'm bringing you here today is showing you what you can do with your pre-existing system. Okay? Or if you decide you want to upgrade your PC to having a better motherboard, better graphics card, or whatever, that's up to you. Okay? I'm just telling you what I got in right here and right now in my system. I have a B550 motherboard from Asus. I have an AMD Ryzen 7 5700X. I have NVIDIA Asus right here. RTX 4070 OC version, 12 gigabytes of VRAM. Okay. Now, you might think this is like, some high-end parts for some cheaply parts and stuff like that. But, in truth and reality, I was very impressed when I did my first analysis on this. But I'm taking this a little bit further. So let's go to the action screen and see what I got set up for right now. Okay, this is my main monitor. It's set at 1080p, which you can see right here. It says 920x 1080. Oh, we forgot the big booty cursor. Let's go ahead and get the big booty cursor out. Change the color so you know it's there. Minimize it. So now we got the big booty cursor. Now, we have to go back to where we were. Now let's go and see it. I got two monitors connected to one graphics card. This is the first and this is the second. The first one is here. So how you know it's the first one? You click identify and it has a number 1 right there. And the number 2 will be on your other monitor. So I know this is my first monitor and I know what's going on here. This says HDR. Now we're going to click on the HDR. You're going to see that it says not supported for video streaming or HDR use. It is an SDR monitor. It's preferable to get an HDR monitor. I'm going to tell you that much. It is preferable to get an HDR monitor, which is not too bad. Okay, now display resolution 1080p. It says 1920 by 1080. Right here, I added display screen resolution in the control panel, which I can go down here, I can right click, I can go to NVIDIA control panel, and I will pull it up so you all can see. Ooh, I hate that damn thing. So right here, you can see the word says DSR factor is 1.78x, 4.0x. So it has 1440p and it has 4K. The smoothness, I set it to 23%. Let me do this. Let me move the smoothness up to 50% to give it a fair chance. So this way, we'll see if it looks really smooth or not. So now we got that set. Yes. So we'll save the changes and then we'll get out of that. So now, going back here, let's change it to 1440p. Now remember, when you're on your first monitor or your second monitor will not change. Only if you go over to your second monitor and make the changes. First monitor, we're making the change. Because this is where, on this screen here, this is where the game's going to be played. So, we're going to go up to 1440p. And you can see that we're going to keep the changes. Now, you can see that this shrunk right here a little bit. So, before it looked like it was, full screened. Now it shrank a little bit. Told you, the higher you go in resolution, the smaller it becomes. So now we're at 1440p at 125. Now we could go to 150. That would equal out almost to what we had before. Or we can go to 100%, and that's what it would look like at 100%. But we can go to, we'll stay at 125%, and then we'll be done with this. So now, we're set with that. We are set with the monitor seeing the game at 1440p. Now, this is going to be our first test. I haven't opened up the game yet because if you open up the game while you do that, it might cause a driver confliction and stuff like that. So basically you want to do this setting before you open up the game. So I'm going to open up the game. I'm going to have to mute the sound. There's not much I can do about it. YouTube's being really bad on the fact of you playing the sounds on games. So, now understand this, it's going to be a little bit off-centered. It's going to be a little bit off-centered on OBS. So we'll bring it back into the perspective a little bit. So now with me dropping it down, made a little bit of difference right here on the FPS. Now, if you go look at the live stream, it said 105 with 1080p. Now, if you look now, it says 67. And the settings haven't changed. Let's just go ahead and get into the game and get it all set up there to see what 1440p actually looks like. So, to me, this gives me an idea of what I'm going to be looking at as far as when it comes to screen resolutions. Let me go ahead and hit this for a minute and resize. Oh, don't have to. It looks like it's... Huh, interesting. Well, it looks like it is a little bit off-centered. Still a little bit off-centered. Alrighty. Yes, I'm adjusting it while I'm doing this, so. The thing is this, when you readjust the screen resolution, you have to adjust it on OBS, and that's my bad. I didn't adjust it right away. But let's see. Let's just grab the dude that we always grab. We'll just go ahead and grab the dude before we start doing any upscaling or anything else. So. We're just going to get to the point of the upscaling and go from there. Now, with me changing the screen resolution for the monitor, I wanted to see the difference from A to B. Okay. Which I did take snapshots of the different resolutions with, inside the display for the games. So, okay. So, let's look around. Let's hit the ESC button. Let's hit the F12 off. Let's hit options. The reason why I turned the monitoring off was because I wanted to come in here. I wanted to turn off VSync, max frame rate, ray tracing's off, and motion blur is off. And this is going to be set to ultra. So basically we're running on the rasterization with ultra. Let's go back. Let's see at F12. As you can see, it is 65 FPS. Says the average is around, let me get, and the way I'm going to look at it is like this. The average is running around 65, 67 FPS. The 1% lows is sitting at 50, 67 for your average, 67 in real time, 57 for your 1% lows. You got your point 1 lows, which is at 48. And looking around, so we can get a good idea of what we're looking at. Okay, so now we got what we are looking at. Now let's go and hit the one key, the ESC key. ESC key will take it, either give you the options, leave the game, or exit game, you know. So all you got to do is hit the ESC key. We'll go to the options. Now, we've seen what Ultra does. Let's add on ray tracing. And let's run the ray tracing to Ultra. So, now let's see what we got. And hit that one button. So ultra ray tracing and ultra rasterization, pushing it right there to the top, giving you a 40 FPS and a 37 FPS on the low, and a 0.01 FPS on the 0.01 low at a 34 FPS. So as you can see, everything's running pretty well, much in line. Now, let's go ahead and go back to the options. Let's say we turn off, no, leave ray tracing on. Let's say we turn on NVIDIA and we turn on DLAA. Okay, with ray tracing on, Ultra, and the graphics set to Ultra. We're going to turn this on DLAA and see what we got. We came up a little bit in the FPS. Let's make sure our settings are pretty much. But I did notice that the 1% lows came up, and the 0.01% lows did come up, adding DLAA. So, we got a little bit of an increase with DLSS. Now, let's hit the F12 and hit the ESC key. You guys are going to think I'm crazy doing all this. No, I'm not. It's just I'm ruling out anything mishaps with my RTX 4070. So, leaving it on ray tracing, going to quality on NVIDIA. Let's see what happens. Oh, let me turn this off. Somehow frame generation was turned on. So now I'm going to have to go backwards, go back to DLAA, and then hit that. Seems frame gen was on. My bad. So nothing's really changed with DLAA. I had to go backwards a little bit, people. I do apologize for this, but doesn't seem much has changed. So let's go make a modification. Now, let's turn off ray tracing. Okay, we turned off ray tracing. Now let's just check it, the DLAA with ray tracing off, and it's still set at ultra. Came up a little bit, not too much, but came back up a little bit. Seems the 1% lows have changed. They lowered down using DLAA. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to up from DLAA to quality and see what we got. Now it went up to 93, 94. 95 FPS on an average. 80 FPS on the low, 1% low, and the 0.1%, 73 FPS. We're getting warmer. So, let's go ahead and see what else we can do. Let's take this to balanced. Since we're only on ultra, no ray tracing, and see what we get. Now we increased the FPS even further. So as you can see, DLSS is working. Now as far as it looks pretty good, shadows look pretty good. I don't see the shadows bouncing around. You know, I mean, as I'm looking at it, I don't see the shadows bouncing around. Now understand, this is going to be a long video. So if you made it this far, make sure you subscribe and you hit the like button and you turn on your notifications so you know when I post the next video. So, I'm just letting you know this is going to be a long video from this point on because now we're at 26 minutes or so. Let's say the first 25 to 30 minutes, we're right there. So now we can see our FPS, and I'm showing you right here what it looks like. And all the numbers are right there. So there's no misconception of numbers. Okay, I'm going to show you something as well. What we're going to do is we're going to take and show you right here that there's no trickery or anything else. The memory clock, the VRAM mem is set at 0. Okay, and the core, the GPU core, is set at 0. And the core power, the voltage, is set at 0. So this right here is set at 0. So this is just operating from the base of 2590 megahertz and up. Now the 10501, that's base. So as you can see, there's no trickery into anything. Just wanted to make this clear. Everything you see here is real. So everything that I just showed you on that panel right there is right here. Everything you need to see is right here, and there's nothing hidden. So, and as we can see, the FPS is looking good. Let's move on. Okay, this is what the problem is. Now that we went through all that, okay, now we're going to go up one level. We're going to go and we're going to pass performance, and we're just going to go to ultra performance. And we're going to see what it gives. So, now, ultra performance. We're up to 134, 135 FPS. Let's make sure it's calculating correct. So, as you can see, the 1% lows are 99 to 100 FPS, and the 0.1 lows is at about 65 to 80. Not too bad. Not too shabby. So, now let's see if we can get this even hotter. Not hotter, but higher. Okay, so we've tried all the way to ultra performance on DLSS, but how about we try with, no, we're going to stay with NVIDIA at ultra performance, and now we're going to kick on frame gen and see what we get. Kicking on frame gen. Look at there. Let's make sure we're good. Kicking on frame generation. The numbers are balancing, so let's see what happens. Always remember when you're testing the FPS, you have to make sure that your numbers are balanced out. Give it about 15 seconds to balance. So this way you'll know you're getting an actual number. I know it's crazy, but this is the way I do it. To get an actual number, it tells me what's going on. So now we moved up to 180 FPS. So the average, it says it's 179. The 1% is at 157. And the 0.1 is at 112. So, as you can see, this RTX 4070 is not bad. I mean, I am very impressed with the RTX 4070. Now, let's go ahead and go back in. I know me not running around, moving around anything, that's going to be, another thing. But this right now is just me standing still in the game, seeing what it does. And that's what I'm working towards. So let's turn off frame generation. Let's move this down to quality. Or DLA. No, it still won't do it. Wow. Let me turn it off. Won't give me ray reconstruct. Oh, that's because ray tracing's not on. My bad. Okay. So we've seen what it does at ultra performance. So, but let's do this. Let's take it one better. Let's go to ultra performance. Let's kick on ultra ray tracing. Let's kick on ray reconstruction, and let's kick on frame gen. Let's just turn it all on, see what we get. Okay. So turning it all on, that's what we get. I see the shadow right there is kind of blended in a little bit more. I don't know if y'all can see that. That looks like the shadow is blending in. Actually, it looks, a lot better. A lot better. So, yeah, not too bad. So, but truthfully, I don't need all that on. So let me turn off that. Let me turn off that. Let me turn off ray tracing. That's if you want ray tracing on. That's up to you. But me, I really don't need it. I could use it, but let's try Intel. Let's try Intel. Let's try native AA. NVIDIA Reflex low latency. Let me turn that off. We don't need that just yet. So now we're going to try Intel at ultra settings, native AA, and see what we get. Well, that shadow looks hardcore there. You can see it now. Having everything on before, you could barely see the shadow. So, F12. Wow. Let's make sure we're balanced. See, what I'm doing is I'm hitting a button that's resetting the frame times. So it's kind of setting it back to 0, so that way it'll balance itself out. So far, looking at this, is a 61 to 62. Look, when I'm doing these settings, I'm just giving you the benchmark numbers of these settings that I'm turning on and turning off. So, let's try Ultra Quality Plus and see what we get. I want to try everything. Wow. That one setting brought it up like, reset the numbers. That one setting Not too bad. Just moving up a little bit. Not too bad. Okay. Turn that off. Turn that on. Let's see. Let's move it up to... Let's just take it all the way up to quality and see what we get. So taking it up to quality, it moved up a little bit, starting to make it look like a little bit of poo-poo. Not much. Do remember, we're still on a 1080p monitor with the screen resolution being set to 1440p. We're actually tricking the GPU thinking that the monitor's at 1440p. This is kind of tricking the monitor a little bit. So, but so far, you guys can leave your comment down below and let me know what you think. I'm going through these settings little by little. Okay. I don't know if we'll get through all of them, but we're trying to. There's so many different ones. Let's go ahead and just push it up to ultra performance and see what we get. Now pushing all the way up to ultra performance, we'll get 124 FPS. You'll notice that the shadows kind of moved a little bit. So, not too bad. Not too bad. So let's go ahead and press on. There's no trickery to this, people. I mean, I'm doing it right in front of you. That's the whole thing. I'm doing this right in front of you. So there's going to be no he said, she said crap. So with ultra performance, let's see. Let's turn on low latency. And just go to the top and enable boost. Okay, we'll do that. We'll enable it like that. We'll hit F12. Reset everything. Latency, maybe 7 or 8 milliseconds of latency. Not too bad. Look at that. Only thing I'm seeing is that right there where that dot is, that's blinking. Look at the dot. It's not moving. I mean, I don't know. So, not too shabby with Intel. Let's go to AMD. We're at balance. No, we're going to turn off frame generation. We're going to go to AMD. Yep, and we're going to go to balanced. We're just going to check out balance because we're getting close to, time on this. Okay, so F12. Reset. So at balanced, no ray tracing, 102 FPS on an average, 86 on your 1% lows, and 81 on your 0.01% lows, or your 0.1 lows. And latency is about 9-10 milliseconds. So, moving on. Let's go to, and that's with the, let me turn that off and go back and turn this on. That latency boost thing doesn't really work. I don't see the difference. So, just want to make that point. I don't see a difference. Still the same. So that's like a useless thing they put into the game. This reflex low latency doesn't seem to work for some reason. Maybe it's because how I got the resolution set up. Who knows? We're at FSR balance. Let's go to ultra performance. And let's see what we got. At F12, we got 138. 136 FPS on average, 104 on the 1%, and 71 on the 0.1. And the frame time latency moved down to 7 to 8 milliseconds. Not bad. Seems like this is better on latency being at this setting, so not too bad. Okay, let's move on. Let's get down to the brass tacks. Let's turn on ultra ray tracing with ultra performance and see what we get. And do remind you, we do not have frame generation on yet. So, dropped it down, as you can see, to 87 FPS. 74% or 74, 72 FPS on the 1%. 66, teetering to 70 on your 0.1% lows. And latency came up by 3 milliseconds. Wow. Now, let's go here and let's go to the options. Let's turn on frame generation. Hit the ESC and let's see what we get. Wow, seems it's going wacky a little bit. If I'm seeing this right. Still not too bad. Still not too bad. A little bit of wackiness. Let's go to the options. So we can turn that off. We can turn that off. And pretty much we'll come to my conclusions. We'll hit ESC. And we'll come up to my conclusions and exit game. Okay, now let's get back to the main screen and move everything around like usual. I'm turning things off so that way I can not be distracted by anything. Okay, now, this is my final conclusion to this, The Last Descendant. It's not a bad game. For the hardware that I have, it's not bad. I mean, I took you guys through several amounts of settings and showed you the FPS. Yes, and understand, I did not move him around because we can do another video, but that's if you subscribe. And the more subscribers we get, we can do a part 2 to this. So if you guys want to see a part 2 to where I'm going in-game full play, put the settings up on the line, then you make sure you subscribe. Because if you don't, then I'm not going to be able to get to that next level. So you can help me get to the next level. Just become one of our popular subscribers, and you know, it would help us out too. But the thing is this. I showed you some settings so that way you can understand what settings that you would use that would be the best for you. Now, the only thing I didn't do was, because I'm like at almost 50 minutes, I didn't show you the 4K was because we can do that in another video. And we can go through all the settings again. Dynamic screen resolution. We can set it from point A to point Z. Right now, I'm on dynamic screen resolution on one monitor, not two, just one. The reason is because I don't need the other monitor to do the same thing that the monitor I'm testing on, to do. I got one monitor that I'm testing on, the other monitor I'm putting all my stuff that I'm using on that monitor. So this way I can separate the two so there's no problems whatsoever. But running it at dynamic screen resolution 1440p gives me an idea. Believe it or not, that gave me an idea of what people are talking about when they say, well, you should go up to a 1440p monitor. I'm thinking about it. I really am. I mean, I liked how it looked. I really do. I really liked how it looked. Understand this. It's not the same thing. I understand. It's not the same thing. But if it looks good and it works for you and it doesn't kill you on your power, then use it. That's all I'm saying. If you like it, use it. If you don't like it, don't use it. Then get a bigger monitor, go spend out $200 or $300 and get yourself a 4K monitor that does everything. I was thinking about getting a 4K monitor that has all the 100% nuts and bolts and everything. And that way I can reduce it down to 1440p and 1080p, and I can, offer the same monitor, so I don't have that problem. But what I wanted to find out was taking a 1080p monitor, moving the screen resolution up to a 1440p. I know this is scaling it up instead of scaling it down, because they say, well, the pixels are a lot better scaled down than they are scaled up. But I'm doing the opposite is because I wanted to see for myself what it's scaled down to with, a 1080p monitor. And to me, it didn't look like crap. I mean, if you think it looked like crap, that's your thought. I wear glasses. It's hard for me to tell if it looks like crap. Is because the pixels, if I go to take my glasses off, okay, I can tell you right now, everything's blurry. If I go to put my glasses on, everything scales up past 1080p with these on. Okay, I can tell you, everything blows up. So I can see, since these are magnified, I can see all the little imperfections. Since I'm wearing something that's magnified. But we're not going to get into all that. I'm just trying to show you what dynamic screen resolution does. If it's going to be good for you or it's not going to be good for you. You guys can, chomp on me in the comment section below and say, hey, I didn't like the way it looked. I went through different resolutions, so you decide. I'm not going to tell you how to do it. I'm just showing you how to do it. You decide how you want to do it. I'm just testing it to see which is going to be better for me without having to go and spend an arm and a leg when it's not needed. Don't be fooled by people telling you that. You need to go and spend for a better monitor and this and that. You know what? I'm sorry, that's crap. You can disagree. We can both disagree to agree. But I think it's crap. So, but anyway, if you made it this long into the end of the video, it is much appreciated. And if this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe and hit a like on the video, would be appreciated. And also too, don't forget to turn on your notification bell so you know when I post the next video. Until the next time in the next video, you know what it is, and we will see you, on the next one.